Linux is a family of open-source Unix-like operating systems that revolves around the Linux kernel. It was first introduced on September 17, 1991 by Linus Torvalds. Typically distributed as a package, known as a Linux distribution, it encompasses the kernel, supportive system software, and libraries sourced from third parties, creating a comprehensive operating system. Released under the copyleft GPL license, Linux is fashioned as a replica of Unix. Complementing the Linux kernel, crucial components of a distribution may consist of a display server, package manager, bootloader, and Unix shell. Widely recognized as a prime exemplification of free and open-source software collaboration, Linux was initially tailored for x86 personal computers, but has since been adapted to a broader array of platforms than any other operating system. Its usage spans across PCs, workstations, mainframes, and embedded systems. Not only is Linux predominant in server environments, but it also dominates on all of the planet's 500 swiftest supercomputers. When fused with Android, an OS rooted in Linux catered to mobile devices, they collectively claim the largest user base among all-purpose operating systems available. The Linux kernel, crafted by Linus Torvalds, arose out of the need for a functioning kernel for GNU, a Unix-compatible operating system fashioned from free software by Richard Stallman starting in 1983. Following this, Minix, a Unix system, emerged, but its license lacked full freedom and served primarily as an educational tool. Not until 1992 did 386BSD, the initial completely free Unix for personal computers, come to fruition. By this time, Linus Torvalds had already unveiled the first iteration of the Linux kernel on the web. Similar to GNU and 386BSD, Linux was a new implementation without any Unix code, evading legal concerns of the period. The popularity of Linux distributions surged in the 1990s, extending Unix capabilities to home users on personal computers, a realm previously dominated by high-end workstations. Desktop Linux distributions, including features like X11 or Wayland for windowing systems and desktop environments such as GNOME, KDE Plasma, or XFCE, gained prominence. Linux, encompassing Android, holds the largest user base among general-purpose operating systems as of May 2022, with particular emphasis in the smartphone domain. As of March 2024, Linux is present on approximately 4% of desktop computers. Chromebooks, powered by the Linux kernel-based Chrome OS, command the U.S. K-12 education market and claim nearly 20% of sub-$300 notebook sales in the U.S. On servers, Linux reigns supreme, constituting over 96.4% of the top 1 million web servers operating systems. Furthermore, Linux dominates in the domain of big iron systems like mainframe computers and features on every single one of the world's 500 fastest supercomputers. Beyond traditional computing, Linux finds its way into embedded systems like routers, smart home devices, automobiles by notable manufacturers such as Tesla and Audi, and even spacecraft like the Falcon 9 rocket and the Ingenuity Mars helicopter. The Unix operating system was created in 1969 at AT&T's Bell Labs by a team that included Ken Thompson, Dennis Ritchie, and Douglas McElroy. Initially written in assembly language, Unix was later rewritten in C by Ritchie in 1973, making it easier to port to different computer platforms. Due to an antitrust case in 1956, AT&T had to provide Unix's source code to anyone who requested it, leading to rapid adoption by academic institutions and businesses. Eventually, Bell Labs began selling Unix as a proprietary product in 1984. The advent of microcomputer-based Unix workstations by Onyx Systems in 1980 and Sun Microsystems in 1982 marked significant milestones in the commercial distribution of Unix-based systems. Meanwhile, the GNU project, initiated by Richard Stallman, aimed to create a Unix-compatible software system using free software, leading to the development of the GNU General Public License in 1989. In the early 1990s, key components of an operating system were completed, although the low-level GNU herd elements remained incomplete. Minix, a Unix-like operating system created by Andrew S. Tannenbaum in 1987, served as a platform for learning operating system principles due to its freely available source code. In 1991, Linus Torvalds, while attending the University of Helsinki, began developing the Linux kernel as an alternative to Minix. Torvalds' exploration into operating systems was sparked by frustration with Minix's licensing restrictions. He embarked on creating Linux after unsuccessful attempts to access the POSIX standards documentation for implementing Unix system calls. With Linux's evolution, integration of GNU components, and a shift to the GNU GPL license, a fully functional free operating system was established, with commercial distribution models following suit. The rise of Linux in production environments, facilitated by organizations like NASA transitioning to Linux-based clusters, signaled the beginning of Linux's commercial uptake in the mid-1990s. The Linux kernel is seen as a product of evolution rather than deliberate design by many open-source software developers. Linus Torvalds described its growth as akin to biological mutations, faster and directed compared to random changes in DNA alpha particles. Eric S. Raymond highlighted Linux's uniqueness in being developed by a vast number of online volunteers, releasing weekly to gather feedback for rapid improvements, unlike the meticulous planning of small teams for other complex software. The renowned engineer Brian Cantrell concurred that Linux evolved organically, but cautioned that certain critical features, particularly in security, cannot be left to chance like a biological process due to the nature of software systems. Linux-based systems form modular, Unix-like operating systems, drawing heavily from Unix's foundational concepts established in the 1970s and 1980s. Central to this is the monolithic Linux kernel that manages process control, networking, peripheral access, and file systems. The GNU userland plays a vital role in Linux systems, with notable exceptions like Android. The GNU C library acts as an interface between user applications and the Linux kernel, vital for system functionality and compatibility. Additionally, the toolchain is a robust set of programming tools crucial for Linux development, with core utils implementing essential Unix commands. The Linux graphical user interface typically relies on the X Window system, though a shift towards Wayland has been observed in recent times. Installed components in a Linux system encompass a bootloader, an init program, software libraries, basic Unix commands, widget toolkits, a package management system, and user interface programs. These elements form the backbone of a Linux system, facilitating its operation and allowing users to interact with the system effectively. From handling video input devices to managing complex software libraries, Linux's infrastructure continues to evolve to adapt to the diverse needs of modern computing. Linux, as compared to many other contemporary operating systems, stands out due to its nature as free and open-source software. It is not the sole operating system following this model, but it holds the position of being the most extensively used. The Linux kernel and various components operate under licenses that promote reciprocity, notably the GNU General Public License, GPL, which acts as a form of copyleft, ensuring derived works also remain open source. Linux distributions are designed with interoperability in mind, adhering to standards like POSIX, Single Unix Specification, SUS, Linux Standard Base, LSB, ISO, and ANSI guidelines whenever feasible. Although few Linux distributions have obtained certifications like POSIX Part 7, Linux FT holds this distinction. The Open Group recognizes Euler OS and Inspur KUX as meeting the criteria for the Unix trademark. The collaborative nature of free software projects, combined with licenses allowing redistribution, facilitates the creation of comprehensive Linux distributions that bundle software from various sources. These distributions are managed by diverse entities ranging from individuals to commercial organizations, responsible for configuring the Linux kernel, ensuring system security, and integrating software packages seamlessly. Typically, distributions utilize package managers such as apt, yum, zipper, pacman, or portage to streamline the installation and updating of software. Linux distributions thrive on active developer and user communities that drive the evolution and support of these platforms. Vendors may opt to support their distributions voluntarily, like Debian, or maintain community variants alongside their commercial offerings, as seen with Fedora from Red Hat and OpenSUSE from SUSE. Local Linux user groups, LUGS, play a crucial role in advocating for specific distributions and free software, providing support, training, and technical assistance to new users. Businesses such as Red Hat, Canonical, and SUSE have established thriving ventures around Linux distributions, offering support services tailored for different user segments. Commercialization is encouraged by free software licenses, fostering a symbiotic relationship between Linux distributions and vendors. Common business models include selling support services, creating specialized enterprise versions, or bundling software with hardware sales. The diverse programming landscape on Linux encompasses a wide array of languages and development tools, supported by the GNU Toolchain, GCC, and LLVM project. Proprietary compilers from Intel, Sun, and IBM cater to specific needs, while scripting languages and traditional programming languages find ample support within Linux environments. The system's embrace of various programming languages, integrated development environments, and desktop environments like GNOME and KDE underscores its flexibility and adaptability for developers and users alike. Linux, in contrast to many other contemporary operating systems, distinguishes itself by being built upon a foundation of free and open-source software. While Linux is not the only operating system that embraces this model, it stands out as the most prevalent in this category. Commonly, distributions employ package managers like apt, yum, zypper, pacman, or portage to simplify the installation, removal, and updates of all software components from a centralized location. The development and sustainability of a distribution heavily depend on its developer and user communities. Noteworthy examples include Debian, funded and developed on a volunteer basis, as well as Fedora by Red Hat and OpenSUSE by SUSE, which maintain community versions alongside their commercial distributions. Local Linux user groups, LUGS, are instrumental in advocating for specific distributions and free software in various regions, offering support, training, and system installations. Online platforms such as IRC chat rooms, news groups, and forums like Unix and Linux Stack Exchange and linuxquestions.org also contribute to the robust support network for Linux users and developers. Another prevalent business model involves offering the software for free to drive hardware sales, a strategy that has evolved in the computer industry over time. Linux accommodates a wide array of programming languages, supported either natively or through community-based ports. The GNU Toolchain serves as the backbone for developing applications and operating system programs on Linux. Shell scripts, awk, sed, and make are well supported in Linux distributions, while various programs are equipped with embedded programming languages for self-configuration. Linux accommodates a broad spectrum of languages including CE, Vala, Scheme, and others, empowering developers with flexibility in their choice of programming tools.